and more I am being guided to study for. More and more I am being guided to study for.
See my Moorish flag flying like my Moorish cape. I'm not a Jew, but Jerusalem has a Moorish gate. 30 Moors unreal, call them Moorish fakes. Pull at Negroes' emotions like some Moorish drapes. If you really wanna know, go to a Moorish meeting. You better have a pen and pad, cause when active Moors speaking, it's wake up time. You won't find the Moorish sleeping. Crescent moon and star in the sky, that's a Moorish beacon. The way I navigate beats, call me Moorish Seaman. My nationality, I have the power, Moorish He-Man. Moorish turban, I'm royal, don't mistake me for bourbon. Moorish master MC surgeon, not a rapping servant. We suburban, Moors are so determined to solve the Negro problem. Moorish white man's burden. Moors beans conquer, white rice, that's a Moorish plate. Black or more fish on the hook, that's a Moorish bait. Moorish estate before chapter 48 ancestral line. All secrets taken away, Moors are not clandestine. Euromasons go to back rooms or washrooms, returning black robes and hoods with cloaks, Moorish costumes. You won't have it twisted once the Moorish got you. Desensitize the facts so the truth won't shock you. Some people call it awesome, I'm making it awful. Liar lawyer pushing the legal when Moors are lawful. Preachers give you ghost spell, she bring Moorish gospel. Moors are ancient, they even found the fez on a fossil. Even Bruce Lee knew he wore shirts with arms. Even MC Hammer knew pantaloons are Moorish pants.
I understand, man. I'm a man. I understand that nationality is the order of the day. I understand.
I've seen and heard Moorish things in this realm. I had to fathom in shadow eyes inside hoods. Moorish master phantoms, smoke swarms, swirling circle 7 forms. You can stay close, I'm gonna stay far from the norm. Tory and Astro, travel on terror, no license. No jail cell, no cuffs, no sirens. No watching over my back, trying not to get stabbed. No fence hopping, windows popping. Want me nab, Moorish monk status. Bad up any youth who's baddest. With knowledge of self, Moorish Quran quotes, gun in my belt. Moorish naga, not a nigga. No shots fired. Telling officers they're servants and just hired. Easing back into his cruiser, Popo ego bruiser. Tables turn, Moorish status got him like the loser. It's a shame, many hear it, but only a few wake up from the dream state and do what Moors do. Fearing their own Moorish star, Fez and El Bay. I'm staying Moorish, I don't care what blacks say. You can tell me, many Moors are running a racket. Or show me pics proving Drew Ali is a Moorish faggot. No matter how bad it looks, I'm not dropping this habit. Moorish Neo wake up the stream telling me follow white rabbits, jumping, stumbling blocks. They call Holy Trinity. Moorish mind, soul, and heart expressing divinity. I'm Illuminati, illuminated, great seal Moor. All seeing eye from high, being the being I. Stand on squares and compass as Allah prepares the mind to handle demonic and those devilish stares, casting spells so I can abandon and give them my power. For Grand Dragon commanded from a Moorish tower, yelling Alfred Pike quotes, don't be surprised to catch me. Drawing Moorish pentagrams, reading Madame Blavatsky.
But I'm a Moor. Smile. I'm a Moor. Got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Moor. So if I say it, I mean it. If I mean it, generally, I say it. Are you a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots, and I ain't come to Kington.
Once we find our nationality and serve that nationality, we'll do for ourselves what needs to be done.
Keep thinking it's games, you already know these beasts kill you on camera. Leave you niggas dead in the streets. You're still handcuffed and bloody, but no 911 called bystander effect in full effect. So watching with y'all, mind blowing. Watching my people holding up trackers of innocent people. My people need to get their ass kicked. Marching and kicking in his most cowardice and funkified. While dead bodies just multiply. Sisters killed in their cell. You claim it's hell you raised and burned down your own community, not one police station. You love pork chops, but I see no police bacon. And when it comes to revolution, most of y'all are faking.
All ethnic groups in this country understand they got a rationale. Because you answer to such stupid words.
Black lives don't matter, but you still claim black. Rather film someone get choked out, but won't choke back. And the one that uploads first face charges Trump's up. What do you think will happen when President Trump's up? More killing and murders of stateless herds. Hoods are concentration camps now, ghettos are birds. Gun stores short on ammo, they're melting down church bells. Black seek shelter in temples, where God doesn't dwell. That's why a foreigner can walk in and shoot up your service. Praying to invisible gods, give you the curses. You pray to relinquish, that's none of my business. I suggest you nationalize with the quickness. I suggest you study law, stop with the bitch shit. In your face, I see them spray the pepperish liquid, then pouring white milk on your face. I thought that milk was the devil. Some weapons drown the noise level. Boys, you rebel.
Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and color and black. You have
The point that I'm making, blacks are mistaken. Call them highwaymen, not cracker pigs or bacon. Taking your tax dollars and riot gear, they relaxing. Cause in a black status, don't even think about a class action. Don't even think about rights being respected without getting injected. I see you infected. Then the same ones that violate the laws you re-elected. Your vote matters more than black lives, feel disrespected. Control the Negroes, looks tested and perfected. That's why about being black, I'm skeptic and left it. My people are tripping, walking with arms like panthers who got nowhere in the 60s, so that's not the answer. And black leader, race war, instigator puppets. Teach, kill those who killed us as justice. But have they ever killed? I think not. If they did, it's hearsay, nobody to show. Yellow envelope, money in escrow. Accounts overseas, not in democracies, live in hypocrisies. It's all the jure mockeries, bureaucracies, vampiric, but most can't hear it. It's only the attitude, the regalia is not clan spirit. Until my people wake up, your struggle for rights continues. And your children's organs end up on the elite menu. You love text but delete the messages, more send you with no status. You're in the jurisdiction and venue of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of their feet. Of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of your feet.
The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and doctrine. And anytime you call a people by their right name, anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them to land, history, and culture, you have called them out of their name. There's no black man or black woman. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only relate to a country. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of land, you think of nationality.
Edge of CUNY Homes apartments where George was born and bred, on the campus of Texas Southern University at their commencement, talking about the hope for the future, because we believe that these charges that were brought by the Justice Department encourages future generations to know that our Department of Justice will be here to make sure that all of American citizens are afforded the constitutional rights of life and liberty and equal justice.
Oh yeah, Ben Crump? That's what you're coming with? Ben Crump? Constitutional rights? But if you're talking about constitutional rights, how come you're up on stage with the same lady, Sheila Jackson Lee, who's talking about take away everybody's guns, which is a constitutional right? Isn't that an apparent contradiction? That they're out here suing. They're out here suing, right? They're out here suing because of somebody getting murdered by the police by guns. And then the people who are talking to the pacified, docile public, they're right now are trying to establish national database that is to include every gun in the country and make it a felony to own a firearm or ammunition without a license from the Department of State. So only the Justice Department is the only ones who are going to be issuing licenses for the Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. You're worried about some vaccine and all that stuff. These people are stripping you of your rights in front of your face. In front of your face, to the point where they have the Lodge number 422 Benjamin Crump up there. So if it's a documented fact that he's in Lodge 422, St. Lee Lodge, Quincy, Florida, and he's talking about constitutional rights, how come he's on stage, he's at the microphone with the worker of the corpse talking about gun control bills? This 2 hours ago. If this is not an apparent contradiction and slap in your face, on top of them murdering you and your children and your daughters and your sons on camera and not getting charges and whatever like that, they charge one guy and you're going nuts. Okay, fine, we're gonna ride with the fact that, okay, one guy got charged. Okay, cool, one guy got charged, right? So because of this one guy getting charged, this is their position because the charge stopped. So this is their position that they're moving forward with, and having the Prince Hall lead their constitutional advancement. But he's on the stage with the same lady wearing the same colored jacket, telling you that, oh my God, people are dying all over the place. These two guys standing next to each other with no mask. Where's the uproar? Where's the fact checkers? How come the fact checkers didn't run out and throw a mask on these two? This guy is under his chin. So already it doesn't work. As soon as he puts it on, now it doesn't work. Because you're not supposed to be putting on and off, on and off, on and off, and stuff like that. That's not how masks work. You're not gonna be spray painting, and then when you stop pushing the spray paint can, you're gonna take the mask off. Oh yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna paint again. Okay, then put it on, and then so you clearly have mental problems. Clearly. You clearly have mental problems. Right? No, but see, that's the problem. Because somebody has to raise the dead. That's why the Moors are the seers. The Moors are the scientists. The Moors are the everything that you've been waiting for. You're waiting for motherships to come, when the motherships are the Moors. In your face. And only we could raise the dead. Because everybody's dead. And we're the only ones out here that are alive, because we have a nationality. So, let the dead bury the dead is a cop-out. Because no one is going to bury the dead. And if we know that this dead is really Hiram Abiff, who's in the shallow grave, that all we got to do is give them knowledge of stuff and they're going to jump up out that grave and do what they're supposed to do, what they should have been doing, then we should probably do that. Instead of letting them lay there in their shallow grave. So yeah, let the dead bury the dead, from the perspective of the people who don't want this. We're not talking to them. This isn't for people who aren't interested in this information. Just like they don't care about this, we don't care about them not wanting to be part of this. Right? Then don't. Ain't no big deal. The ones who do, though, the ones who are just standing in the fog and they're looking for a lighthouse, and then they don't even know what's going on, then they just saw a flash or something. Hey, where'd that come from? They see a flash again and like, hey, something's over there. Let me go down there and see what's going on over there. Let's see a lighthouse in Rhode Island. Let's see what's going on over there. I know I've seen something over there. I'm not sure, but there was a bright thing coming from over on that side. Let me just go see what's going on over there. Oh, north of the border there's light. Whatever. Down south there's light. So people have an opportunity to know about their nationality and birthrights, because otherwise they're not going to know. Because all their leaders, like we're talking about right now, are Prince Hall Masons, which means they aren't about the people. If they're Prince Hall, they're not for the people. They're for their selfish self. Boule black guys who stuck their nose in Europeans' ass crack or whatever, and now they're whatever that they are, and we're supposed to look at them as they made it or something like that. No, they're boule. They're the ass crack sniffer guys. And not even their brother's ass crack, the Europeans' ass crack, they're sniffing. To be in the position where somebody could sniff their ass. But we're the ass kickers. We kick asses. We don't kiss them. We don't fondle up and all that stuff. Because we've been there, done that. And that's not where it's at. So these Masons, these Freemasons, who are our brothers, who sold out. Because if they got a fez on and all that stuff, they should be saying that they're Moors. Why are you saying you're a Mason? You're dark skinned. You're not European. Masonry's for Europeans. Like, why are you? What do you mean you want to be a Mason, showing off your ring on TV like you did something? And you became part of our lodge. Show me your nationality card. That would be something. Pull that out. Pull out your nationality card. And then we're saying something. Because all this constitutional talk is not something new. They decide to work with their brown noser in order to pacify the people some more, give them some victories. And then these people are running with the victories that they got given by their master to try to have you people think that how he's talking is how things are going. That's not how stuff's going. Once you're stateless, once you don't have a nationality, you don't count. And the reason why these people are saying that they're Masons and all that stuff And being part of lodges and all that stuff is because they want to count. They want to be recognized because the content of my character and not the skin and all this. All right. They're riding with that. They're riding with the we shall overcome and civil rights and all that stuff. If they're riding with all that, they're trying to get buyers. The slave who lived in the house. The slave that lived in the house and could end slavery tomorrow because every night slave master is coming home drunk or whatever like that, rape his wife and then fall asleep. And they just be over him with the knife. Oh, if I could kill you, massa, I would stab you right now, massa. Massa, for all the lynchings and all the whatever. But just stand over him with it. Do nothing. Right? These are these people. To get buyers. And the Moors are the ones, let's burn everything down. We're just going to burn everything down. Nobody have anything. We're going to play that unfair. You're going to play that unfair? Right? And then that's just the plantation Negroes. Because off the plantation, they got brothers and sisters walking around. They got businesses and all that tough stuff. They're riding on the horse and all that. They're going to see the sunrise and all that stuff with their girl on the mountain of the whatever and all that. Outside the plantation. But on the plantation, which this is what that realm is, when you're talking about the Freemasons and the elite of the whatever, and those are the slave masters. And then the overseers are these guys who work for them. Telling you about constitutional, but then they're taking your constitutional rights. Under the guise of a bill that they want to know whether you have a gun or not. As if they're we the people. You're not we the people, you're a corporation. How you want the powers of the people, but you're not the people? Really, how are you using people powers when you're a corporate? And all these people know this. It's not some secret information and whatever like that. They had the den and they were in the den talking in secret, whatever like that. And the black guy was at the door and he was listening. No, the real deal is we were the slave masters. If you want to go down that road. We go down the road of some slave trade or whatever. The masters were us. Because the Europeans couldn't get a boat in the river, ocean, stream, anywhere they want to try to put a boat, they can't put a boat there because we ran the seas. And anybody who had a boat in the water that wasn't our flag, we're taking all your stuff. That's how we ran the world at one time. You better have our flag on your boat or we're taking all your stuff. And you're going to have to pay ransom to sit and have a conversation with us about getting your stuff back. And then you're going to have to pay another ransom in order for us to give you your stuff back. And then the hate that the European man has for the European woman and vice versa is that she was the last thing that the European man gave up to get the stuff back. That's why she's mad. And she's always going to go to the black guy or whatever like that. I don't know why you're with this nigger and all that stuff. Because he's freaking better than you and whatever like that. Because they already know what's up. Because the European man is not... He's not worthy. So then now he has an inferiority complex now. And now he's going around the world with this inferiority complex. Going around the world with the inferiority complex. Abusing everybody. Taking advantage of everybody. Just because he doesn't want a man relationship with his mate so he can have peace. Because whether it's European nation or Asiatic nation, black, whatever like that, everything comes down that it's matriarchal. So honors to all the mothers everywhere, worldwide. Honors to all the mothers. Right? So this thing was set up. This thing was put in place. Right? This was put in place. And then remember that in the 1900s, before all this BS that you're dealing with right now, chakras. Right? Masons. We can't make this stuff up. How's he coming up? How's he coming up right now? Because you can't make this up. Right? And then don't forget he played Shazam, who was a Moor. So don't get it messed up that they were telling you what the hell's going on. He had the turban and the pantaloons and all that. And if he did that before he did the masonry stuff, then that means the Moorish thing takes precedent. Because he was Shazam, who was a Moor. Then, and not just a Moor, like a metaphysical, magic Moor. If he was that before he was a Mason, then that would mean he's a traitor, doesn't it? That he doesn't want to be Shazam. He wants to be the guy that everybody's giving him the back shots. He's just the slave guy that's just going to sell himself to everybody. Some people fall in deep. Fall in too deep. Because it's not that deep. Like, I don't have to see you on every commercial. I don't. Like, why are you in every commercial? Like, how is it that one guy is in every commercial and you don't know that, you don't see that this is the Truman Show going on? And you're Truman? You don't get it? You better go, just walk to the horizon and knock the sky. Make sure that it's real. You know, you have to stoop down or whatever like that to get to that part. And then you knock in the corner. And then you just go back to living life like you didn't just knock the sky. They have their stuff set up. The only salvation you have is what Noble Drew Ali brought you, which is the same stuff that these people are using right now on Negro black color people, trying to convince them that that's the way to go. Because if Crump is saying what he said, constitutional rights and all that, okay, well, let's see what Noble Drew Ali said. Hold on a second. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. That's what Noble Drew was saying in the 1920s. Then 2021 now, this is how the Masons talking to the Negro, black, colored minorities.
The fact that George Floyd's family was very grateful when Attorney General Merrick Garland called them to notify them.
Of course, there's a commercial.
Congresswoman, that they were bringing these indictments.
Study music production online with Berkeley's renowned faculty. Download your free music production handbook now and discover how
Indictments for the criminal civil rights against those officers for what they did to George Floyd. And it was very evident the first time you watched that these indictments for the criminal civil rights.
What is that? This guy's a lawyer? Or is he playing games? This guy a lawyer? Or is he playing games? Because I could swear that stuff is either criminal or it's either civil. What's criminal civil charges? What's that? Where they find that from? Which law book did they find that in? Because if cases are criminal or civil, time, and you pay something, where's criminal civil coming from? Hold on, let's just make sure you said that, because because he's a Mason and all that stuff, then he should know that it's criminal and civil. Those two don't go together like that. And then now you have to ask yourself, well, hold on a second. Well, if that's the case, how come when people get murdered, these lawyers never want to press criminal stuff? They're always pressing civil stuff for people to get finance. And then the people take the finance, then the conditions continue. And you don't realize what just happened? No, you don't have to realize what happened. That's not going to change the fact that just happened. And you got played. And it's still getting played, because 2021, and then they're talking just like Noble Drew Ali, Constitution and all that stuff. But then you don't want to say that we're Moors. You're going to be a Mason in secret, where we could pull you up that you're Prince Hall. And you're on the wall of the famous black Prince Hall whatevers. The most memorable Prince Hall guys. And you're looking at Moors, like we don't know what we're talking about, but these people know what they're talking about. Right? He knows what he's talking about for real. Telling you about criminal and civil at the same time. And you're going to take him serious, but as soon as the Moors start talking, you got excuses why you don't want to deal with the Moors, and why you're not a Moor, and why Noble Drew Ali is not a prophet, and why this is not Morocco, and why that's not our flag, and why the fez isn't ours, and why the turban isn't ours, and everything else. But when we present you with facts about these people right now who are playing you, you're not hearing what we're saying. Which, we're not expecting anything. I got my birthright. I care less what you want to do with yours. That's your birthright. I already saw my $100 on the ground and picked it up. I don't need to pick up yours. That's your 100 notes. If you want to pick it up, leave it, or whatever. That's up to you. It has nothing to do with me. We already got our birthright. We're not concerned with any of this stuff going on. Right? There's things going on in the background with Moors that you're never even going to know what's going on until you understand the truth about your nationality and birthright. Stop playing around with these traitors. Start studying this information, because this is all you got. Ain't nothing left right now, and you got time right now. You're locked in the house, nothing to do. Children are homeschooling or whatever like that. Ancestors are letting you know right now is where it's at. What Moore's been telling people: study, study, study. If you were doing that from back then, you know what would be going on right now? Because everybody would have been studying from back then.
George Floyd's family was very grateful when Attorney General Merrick Garland called them to notify them, Congresswoman, that they were bringing these indictments for the criminal civil rights against those officers for what they did to George Floyd. And it was very evident.
Wow, he even stuttered, and these people just fell for it. He even stuttered. G's and P's, you people are nuts. If you have this stuff figured out, you are in serious trouble.
Constitutional rights of life and liberty and equal justice. The fact that George Floyd's family was very grateful when Attorney General Merrick Garland called them to notify them, Congresswoman, that they were bringing these indictments for the criminal civil rights against those officers for what they did to George Floyd. And it was very evident.
Right, now look how deep this goes. Right? The fact that he's even calling them officer when they don't have an office. They went and applied for a job. They went and applied for a job. They don't got office. They haven't any oath that they take. Any oath that they take. The bottom line of the oath is to protect, defend, and enforce the Constitution. Anywhere. The governance of the people must be supported by the people who are claiming to be law enforcement. Right? That's just their oath. It's nothing personal. That's the job they got. That's their oath. But now, if he's got an oath with some bar or whatever, but then he also has an oath for the Mason stuff, isn't that conflict of interest? Well, you got 2, 5, 7 oaths and stuff like that. But then this is why they talk how they talk. Because they're set up on the board. And all they're waiting for you to do is sit at the other side and make a move. And now the game's on and it's over pretty much, because the game's rigged. All they needed you to do was play. And again, they're up here talking about people's constitutional rights. And the lady that's standing up there right now as they're talking about constitutional rights is talking about take away people's constitutional right and have them register their arms. The registration requirement applies to both currently owned firearms and guns purchased after the bill takes effect. The bill would give current owners 3 months to report the make, model, and serial number of the firearm, the identity of the owner of the firearm, the date the firearm was acquired by the owner, and where the firearm is or will be stored, as well as the identity of any person to whom and any period of time which the firearm will be loaned to the person. New buyers would have to report that information on the date of purchase. Failure to comply would be punishable by a minimum fine of $75,000 and a minimum prison sentence of 15 years, or both. Licenses, these are the people who are suing people because somebody got murdered. But then this is what they're doing to the people after they sue somebody and give them some finance. Here's how they're getting their finance back. Licenses would be limited to 21 or older who pass a criminal background check, undergo a psychological examination, complete at least 24 hours training, and pay an $800 fee for liability insurance. The examination, which may include assessing other members of the household to which the individual resides, will be conducted by a government-approved psychologist, charged with determining whether the applicant is psychologically unsuited to possess a firearm. This is what they got coming for Negroes. And Negroes think these people working in their favor. But they're talking that constitutional talk though. They're going to talk that constitutional talk, make you think that they're in your favor.
The first time you watch that video that they have violated the constitutional rights of George Floyd, because at the very basis of our Constitution is the promise of constitutional rights to life and liberty in the pursuit of happiness. And you knew, watching that video, that they had violated George Floyd's constitutional right to life when they prevented him from taking a breath for 9 minutes and 29 seconds while those officers kept their knee on his neck and on his back. And so, when you think about this indictment, you think not just about George Floyd, but you think about the message this sends to other marginalized minorities.
Hold on a second. So, how come he's just talking about constitutional rights and all that stuff for all the people and all that? And George Floyd's rights got violated because he has constitutional rights and whatever. How's he talking about minorities right now? Because if you're talking about constitution, according to what... Let's just go back to what Noble Jawali is saying here. Hold on a second. Okay, so those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. Minority is not a free national name. Minority is a slave brand. As soon as they call you minority, they put you under bondage, wardship, immediately. As soon as you didn't object. You didn't object to anything. You just let them call you minority. You're done for. They just sold you out. Simple as that. Because if you're talking constitution, you're talking free national. You're not talking about subordinates. If you're talking about free national, you're not talking about a ward. You're not talking about a slave if you're talking about a free national. And the only time you can bring up constitution is if you know about free national. And the free national for the echelon black guys is to be a Mason instead of be a Moor. So they go join their Prince Hall or whatever. And then them being part of Prince Hall is what keeps them in their status, quote unquote status. But that status they got is a Moorish status. That if they would just be on this side, we could take over. But they don't want that. They have their side. And their side is to get you to be on the side where This stuff is a precipice. Now, you're not just throwing some rope to get out. So when they talk and they say Constitution, and then they call you minority, they just voided the Constitution. Now those rights don't apply. Now you get murdered in the street and get kneeled on for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Calling for your mom. Because those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses. Isn't kneeling on someone's neck an abuse? Is choking someone out, is that not an abuse? Murdering somebody, shooting them 45 times, that's not abuse? Really? No, you don't think? They know the way that they're supposed to be going, and they choose otherwise, which is why we're only giving honors to Noble Drew Ali as a leader, whatever. Ain't nobody else. Nobody else is qualified to talk. If they haven't said that we're Moors, they're not qualified to talk, because we know that they're Prince Hall. And if they're Prince Hall, that means they're not on our side. So you better find your side. Because who you been with, it ain't them. They're playing you. Get on the side of nationality. They're going to talk crazy. Remember too, that they're talking on the people's behalf. They're not talking on Moore's behalf, but we don't, these people don't represent me, because I'm not a minority. I'm not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian. I'm not a ward. I'm a Moor. Before anything else is established, establish first that I'm more. So don't look at me and look at the guy who looks like me and think we're the same and all that stuff. You better go ask him his nationality. And if he doesn't say he's a Moor, I don't know, I have nothing to do with them. Because I already know what minorities get. I saw the video where the highwayman shot somebody. Just don't care, just firing, just because. Oh, target running. I know, and I see what they got. I saw the mistreatments and the abuses that the no status people get. I saw what that was. And that's not going down with me. Mm-hmm. If a black guy is going to have an interaction with a police and get murdered, and I'm going to have an interaction with the police, and he's going to take off his camera and all that stuff, put the clip back on the thing, lean on the car, and he's going to have a conversation with me. You think that we're the sellouts? No, we're not the sellouts. The guy who got murdered wasn't because of the white man. Because he's in a dead status. And black, according to science, means death. And then you go check all the news articles or whatever like that. They call them black man killed, black man shot, black man police, this and that. News, black man this and that. Minority, talking to you all these fake names. That Drew Ali said, it's a sin. It's a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to names that delude to slavery. Where all these names that our people have been using and are using are deluding to slavery. And they're still calling themselves that. And then they get misused and abused, get mistreatments, and it's never them. It's never because they don't have a free national name. It's the white man, the devil. It's always some fiction that did something. And then they have these groveling Negroes to come up and speak on their behalf about they sued somebody. And then they're going to win. And then the next day, our police is going to murder somebody. And you still don't get it. All right. Then don't get it. You're going to learn.
Who believe they were denied their due process, that they were denied their day in court.
Jeez. Amen.
I love my Squarespace site's simple and beautiful design.
People like the family of Eric Gardner. People like the family of Breonna Taylor. And people like the family of Andrew Brown in his Elizabeth City, North Carolina, who right now are battling with local officials to be transparent, to give them their due process, and release the video of why he was shot in the back of the brain going away from the police. That's what this action by the Department of Justice means.
Right? So, somebody gets murdered, they're not releasing the video of what happened. What's that tell you? Doesn't that tell you something? Like, what does that tell you? That should be an obvious sign. But these are the mistreatments that Noble Drew Ali is talking about in the 1920s that you would have evaded if you would have listened to him and proclaimed your nationality. But no, you want to be Negro, black, colored. You want to be all these fictions. And now you're receiving those abusements. Now you're receiving it. And you're complaining about some white man did something. How about you complain about yourself for dishonoring Noble Drew Ali and not considering what he said? Violating your own law. Because Noble Drew Ali is a brother. So you play that stuff that has nothing to do, whatever, all you like. But when the prophets come on the scene, everybody's supposed to give honors. That's just what it is. If you don't, all right, you're gonna get what you get. Don't get mad at some white man. Don't make up stuff. You don't have to make up anything. Accept the reality. Accept the reality.
It means that the Department of Justice is hearkening back to the historical times when it was only the federal intervention that gave marginalized minorities, especially black people.
Right. Especially black people, right? Especially black people, he said. That's clear. He said, especially black people. Then, okay. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin that has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on the earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. And they will not refrain from their actions, from their ways of action. And their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. Wasn't it just a brother that just told you that you're black, which is selling you out? Wasn't it a brother who just told you that you're a minority? Wasn't it your brother that just lied to you and told you that criminal and civil are the same? That's your brother that just lied to you. And I'm not even going to tell you that he's Prince Hall. And then if you knew he was Prince Hall, you're looking at it like he belongs to some gentleman's quarterly, drink champagne and smoke some cigars or whatever like that. That's not what that is. That's boule. That stopped the organization of the masses. That's COINTELPRO. That's FBI operations. That's the Inquisition. That's the conquistadors. And they're riding with them. When they have all this info and they know all this. Now, think about how crazy it is, right? Think about how crazy it is for Noble Drew Ali to tell us that we're not black in the 20s. And then in 2021, there's people telling you that you're black. Noble Drew Ali in the 20s telling you that black according to science means death. Right? Black according to science means death. Which is speaking metaphysical. Because the death is really the violation of the universal law. That a being shouldn't be violating. And once you violate it, then you're cut off. Even Drew Ali said this is a divine and national movement. People are telling you black still in 2021. Drew Ali said people who look like us are not black in the 1920s. You could go look up Benhamim stuff right now. And you'll hear them talking about, yeah, we're not black, our nationality is Hebrew Israelite. No, it's not. All these people came out of Drew Ali's camp. Benhamim's message. You go pull them up, they got fezzes on still. Of course, it's in secret. it comes out they got fezzes on and all that stuff, they're Hebrew Israelites, then everybody's gonna know, oh, if you got feathers on, then does that mean that you're Moors if you got feathers on? Or they're gonna go get that some bootleg version of a fez and call that their religious headwear. And the Jews of Harlem, who were Hebrew Israelites, called themselves Moorish Jews. So how are these Hebrew Israelites talking about they're not Moors when the Moorish Jews of Harlem are Moors and they're Hebrew Israelites? They played you all of this. And they sent in their little sellout leaders to lead you astray. And now you're astray. Now you're astray. And again, it doesn't matter which one they hire because all of them are officers of the court. And none of them are for the people. A Moorish lawyer is an officer of the court. He doesn't work for the Moors. If he took their oath and all that stuff, he works for the officer of the court.
Protection that their constitutional rights will be respected. I know you all are going to have a lot of questions, but we're going to have individuals give remarks, and then we'll talk about not only what these charges mean in your questions, but also what the additional charge against Derek Chauvin for kneeing and brutalizing that 14-year-old baby, what that means. But I think it's most appropriate that we hear from the representatives who represent Houston in the great halls of the United States Congress, who have been directly responsible for getting the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. You know, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee would not sleep until they got that passed.
Why is she not sleeping? Because she's busy up all night working on the bill to take your rights. That's why she's not sleeping. That's why she's not sleeping. They're working on their plan because, of course, she's Eastern Star or whatever, right? She's female lodge lady. Oh, yeah. The psychologist would be required to interview any spouse of the individual, any former spouse of the individual, at least two other persons who are a member of the family of or an associate of the individual to further determine the state of mental, emotional, and relational stability of the individual in relation to firearms. Denial of a license will be mandatory if the applicant has never been hospitalized because of conduct that endangers the self of others, a brain disease such as dementia or Alzheimer's, or a mental illness, disturbance, or diagnosis, including but not necessarily limited to depression, homicidal ideation, suicidal ideation, attempted suicide, and addiction of a controlled substance or alcohol. You realize that. Realize what they're doing there. That disqualification goes far beyond the psychiatric restrictions that federal law currently impose on gun ownership, which are already overly broad, but apply only to people who have undergone court-ordered treatment. Lee is saying that anyone who has ever been treated in a hospital for any of these conditions, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, should never be allowed to own a gun, no matter how long ago it was and regardless of his current mental state. In addition to those mandatory disqualifications, the Attorney General may deny a gun license to someone who has a chronic mental illness or disturbance or a brain disease, is addicted to drugs or alcohol, has attempted suicide, or has engaged in conduct that posed a danger to self or others, as determined by prior psychological treatment or evaluation. That casts the net even wider, since it includes people who were never hospitalized for these reasons, and leaves open the question of how the government determines that someone is addicted or has a mental illness or disturbance. According to some estimates, nearly half of Americans qualify for a psychiatric diagnosis at some point in their lives, which gives you a sense of how expansively mental illness, quote unquote, is defined, but is hardly a sound basis for denying people their constitutional amendment rights. If the applicant does not survive this gauntlet, it would be a felony for him to possess a firearm, punishable by the same fines and prison sentences as failure to register. That applies to current owners as well as new buyers. People who have been licensed for less than 5 years would have to renew their license every year. People who have been licensed 5 years or longer will be eligible for 3-year licenses. If a gun owner neglects to renew his license, he would be subject to the same fines and prison time as someone who never got a license. Now, this is where the same people who were suing for George Floyd and all that stuff, and this shouldn't have happened, are trampling on your constitutional rights. But then telling you that they're fighting for constitutional rights. Right. You just go pull it up. Draconian bill would turn millions of peaceful gun owners into felons. This was during Black History Month. Oh, these are odd prescriptions for an avowed critic of mandatory minimums to offer. Here is what Lee said when she introduced a sentencing reform bill in 2015. We come together today armed, not only with the knowledge that our criminal justice system is deeply flawed, but with the commitment to fix these flaws. The cost of this system is incredibly high, not just in dollars spent, but also in dollars lost. Every person taken out of a community and placed into a prison is a person who cannot contribute to a family, a community, and our society. Worse, this system makes an incredible human toll, with the cycle of incarceration in a constant state of destruction. Today, with this legislation, we unify to reject a system that is often more effective at creating criminals and collateral damage than actual justice. But then she's going to pass bills to put you in prison because you have a right to protect your family and your property. And then you're talking about, oh, well, they said that the Illuminati and martial law, you've been in it. You just been asleep. You're waking up a little bit, but there's some crust in your eyes still. And your eyes still closed. So you're not really up yet. You're just dazed. You know, the first time you open the eyes, you still can't really see. Blink a few times. You didn't even wipe the crust yet. You know, you're still asleep. Still asleep. But just know that Noble Drew Ali is your savior. And he came with everything that it takes to save a nation and told us to take it and save ourselves. Told us to take everything that he brought us, that it takes to save a nation, and take it and save ourselves. Because we already saved ourselves. We're just doing our obligation to let you know, because all your leaders, all your whoever's, they're Prince Hall Masons. Right? All of them are Prince Hall. They're all Prince Hall. All your boys. All your boys are Prince Hall. Right? Marion, Barry, Count Basie, and you name them. So they decided to work with the other side. They decided to work for the other side. You're not gonna, get mad. Just get information. Save yourself. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all those waking up, getting the crust out their eyes. Keep studying. MoorishDirectory.com. MoorishDirectory.com. ChalifaMedia.com. ChalifaMedia.com. RiseOfTheMoors.org. RiseOfTheMoors.org. RV Bay Publications. RV Bay Publications. And just go there and stay there for about a year. Don't ask any questions. Just go there, stay there for a year. There's about 10 years worth of stuff on there, but you go through those 4 sites, it's probably about 15 years, 16 years worth of information there. And we're saying take a year out of that 16 and just put it to some studying, checking some stuff out. Think for yourself for once in your life. Not thinking for other people. Think for yourself. Be a woman, God damn it. Be a man. Think for yourself. Then people think for you. Use your own volition. Well, how does this look to you? Forget what anybody else thinks. And guarantee you, you're going to find so much stuff in this. Make your head spin. You realize, how come I didn't know this for a long? Because all these traders out here. All these traders who told you about some other BS. instead of telling you the truth about your nationality, your birthrights, that we're Moors, that we got flag, we got national headwear, we have principles, we have a God. We have to be a nation. Then everybody sold out. Then became black. But people are seeing the lighthouse. So everything's going to be all right. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. No class tomorrow. No Gregorian stuff. Honors to all mothers every day, but honors to mothers tomorrow if you're doing your Gregorian calendar stuff. Give thanks to all the mothers everywhere. Honors to you. Oh, you know what? We'll just do that. We'll give you one. Give you one before we go. Give you one before you go. Women who run with the wolves. Women who run with the wolves. Myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. Myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. Righteous rage. Righteous rage. To turn the other cheek, that is, to remain silent in the face of injustice or mistreatment, has to be weighed very carefully. It is one thing to use passive resistance as a political tool, as Gandhi taught masses of people to do. But it is quite another matter when women are encouraged or forced to be silent in order to survive an impossible situation of corrupt or unjust power in the family, community, or world. Then women are amputated from the wild nature, and their silence is not serenity, but an enormous defense against being harmed. It is a mistake for others to think that just because a woman is silent, it always means she approves of the life as is. There are times when it becomes imperative to release a rage that shakes the skies. There is a time, even though these times are very rare, there is definite a time to let loose all the firepower one has. It has to be in response to a serious offense. The offense has to be big and against the soul or spirit. All other reasonable avenues for change have to be attempted first. If these fail, then we have to choose the right time. There is definitely a right time for full-bore rage. When women pay attention to their instinctual self, like the man in the following tale, they know when it is time. Intuitively, they know and they act. And it is right as rain. This story is from the Middle East. In Asia, versions of it are told by Sufis, Buddhists, and Hindus. It belongs to the category of story that treats of performing the forbidden or unsanctioned act in order to redeem life. So honors to all the mothers worldwide. Peace and love to all the Moors. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And for the Moors near Canaanland, we'll connect tomorrow at the walk, meeting up at Shoppers, 747 Don Mills. And this is going to be the second annual COVID walk. We'll get out the house, get in nature, and be around Moors for a little bit, like we usually do on Sundays. So honors to all the Moors. Oh yeah, that's 11 a.m. meetup time. Walk starts 11 a.m. meetup time. 11 a.m. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Once again, honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to all the Moors present, all the Moors who are going to hear this. Honors to you, and honors to all mothers worldwide.